Met, patrons of the tavern, and welcome to yet another day of the Hearthstone Grandmasters of Season 2 of the Americas region. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by TJ Sanders, the cheetah and the flamingo. Join arms once again, and we're going to bring to you day number 2 of week 3. Today is September 7th, 2019. And on this day in history, 40 years ago, the Entertainment, Sports, and Programming Network, also known as ESPN, began its debut and descended upon us the madness known as Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith a cool 30 years later.
Yeah.
Still some of my favorite sports programming out there. Too bad that they are broken up now, but it was a good run. It was a good run while it lasted, TJ.
Yeah, it was a good run. Stephen A. Smith, I think we need a personality like that in Hearthstone. I don't think we have one yet.
I feel like I'm slowly descending into that role.
Yeah, you got a while to go. I could see it.
The more I watch America's GM, the more I'm becoming incredulous as the day continues on.
I think you have to have just as many haters as you have fans in order to fully transcend.
It's true, because
Stephen A. Smith. Because right now you have too many people that like you, Dan.
I have a lot of good relationship with the players. I know them very personally. They are some of my greatest friends. But I am blasting them on stream because yesterday, some good play, and some not so great play, and some games where it didn't have opportunities for good or bad play.
Yep.
We'll see how today ends up faring as we approach the halfway point of the season. TJ, in just a couple more broadcast days, we will officially be halfway through Season 2.
I know. It's kind of crazy. It feels like we just started. It feels like we are still kind of learning the format and maybe some of the intricacies to it. And I think the players are kind of in that boat as well, or at least trying to find a way to gain an edge over the other players. And, of course, in interviews, players have said, oh, yeah, I don't know why people aren't doing this, but it's a secret. I'm not going to give away my strategy. And I'd like to see more unique stuff come into play. But today, Super Saturday here for America's Grandmasters. Eddie versus Nalguidan, Purple versus Strife Crow. Gallon versus Muzzy in the second half of the day. Amnesiac versus Frozen. Zalay versus PNC, and Saiyan versus Bloody Face.
That's right. Saiyan versus Bloody Face is a fight for number 1 in Division B. Over in Division A, and Eddie and Nalguidan currently at 3-1 with Firebat and Muzzy right behind them. Keep in mind that playoffs are top 4 this season, and the last place finisher is going to be relegated. If that was today, it would be either Strife Crow at ETC or either Zalay and Amnesiac. Of course, Zalay yet to play his first match of the week, so it'd be a little bit unfair to relegate based off of an uneven amount of games. That being said, there's a lot to be desired in the quality of play that we've come to expect from America's Grandmasters. You look at the European region leading up into it, very emotional moments as players are starting to realize that quite realistically, some of these players' careers might have a giant obstacle to overcome when they get relegated, or they might quit all entirely. It might be something that is a massive change in their life. And so with high stakes like this, there's no more joking around, TJ. There's no more memeing around. Players are taking the safe route. They're playing the, quote, good decks. Is it to their detriment or is it to their benefit? We'll find out. The featured deck for today is a Zoo Warlock by Zalay, because Zalay is one of the players that needs to pick things up. We picked this deck for 2 reasons. One, Zoo Warlock hasn't got a lot of stage time. Even though it's being brought a reasonable amount of players, over a dozen players for this weekend, still doesn't have a great amount of stream time. Second thing is that this is a really cheap deck, and it's still very effective, and it's also timeless. I'm a big fan of Zoo Warlock myself. I think it's a great deck to teach Hearthstone fundamentals.
Yeah, that's right, and it's a timeless deck because of some of the strong plays that it can make on turn 1 with Flame Imp and Voidwalker in the classic set, with the life tap being able to reload with cheap stuff. Kind of just makes sense, and it will always make sense. But Zoo Warlock kind of gives you redundancy against Druid. It also, I think, has a good matchup against Priest and a decent matchup against Shaman, which are 3 decks that you're going to be seeing a lot of. Its matchup spread is kind of similar to Priest, if you really think about it. Slightly weaker across the board in most of those matchups, but it makes up for that by being able to beat Priest. So it's kind of an interesting bring, but it's also, I think, a good bring because with this Conquest Shield phase, you kind of need redundancy to be able to beat a lot of the lineups out there, especially if you consider like one or two classes to be incredibly popular, and that's Druid and Priest. And I think it fits well into a lot of lineups. And we're seeing like Saiyan bring a lineup with Zoo Warlock, Muzzy, and Amnesiac, Zalay. So I was sort of surprised to see some players bring it last week, but not at all surprised to see players bring it this week. And that's why we wanted to feature it.
All right, well, Super Saturday is going to kick off with Eddie versus Nalguidan, and it'll be a matchup to see who gets first place in Division A after today's game. So don't go anywhere. We're going to get Super Saturday started in just a moment.
Hearthstone Esports is home to many competitive formats, each with their own unique variants and rules. Today, we're going to break down one of them, the Shield Phase Conquest format. And here's how it works. To start, both players bring 4 decks, each from a unique class. The match starts with a Shield Phase. This is where both players choose one of their own decks to protect, making it ineligible to be banned. Once the Protect phase has ended, both players will then ban one of their opponent's decks, removing it from the pool. Each player then selects which of their remaining decks they would like to play first, before beginning the first game of the series. When the first game of the series is over, the winner's deck is removed from their pool of eligible decks. Both players then select the next deck they would like to play. The loser of the first game can choose to replay with the deck they lost with, or they can choose one of their other 2 available decks. In Best of 3 conquests, the first player to 2 wins is the victor. In Best of 5 series, such as those in the semifinals or finals of major events, the first player that makes it to 3 wins takes the W. It's that easy. Shield Phase Conquest allows players to showcase their skill set across different classes, while still giving them the opportunity to play the deck they're most confident with. Now that you've got the download on Shield Phase Conquest, we wish you well on your deck building adventures.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb. They grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. But this league's gonna save the world.
Eddie vs. Nalguidan is going to begin things where we left off yesterday, and I know that there's a lot of Priest fans out there in the Hearthstone universe, and we got 2 of them going to be going at it from the beginning. Not necessarily the Priest fans, but we got a Priest versus Priest mirror to start things off, as you see the protects and the bans. Interesting note is that yesterday we had 5 matches and we had 9 protects on Priest with 1 ban on Druid. Eddie today choosing not to protect the Priest, but choosing to queue it up anyways with a Druid Paladin combination with Nalguidan standard Priest Warrior.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting, especially since Eddie's opting to queue the Priest in Game 1. It seems like right now the meta is going towards Protect Priest and queue Priest Game 1. That's why we're seeing so many Priest versus Priest. That's why we're seeing so much Protect Priest. The Druid Protect might just be Eddie feeling more comfortable on the Druid and wanting to make sure that he has it in the series. But because Eddie's been playing Druid for longer than a lot of players have. He actually brought it to Soul, which not many players did. This was pre-nerf, so this was before it was better situated in the metagame, and he actually did pretty well. I think he finished 8-4, which considering, obviously how stacked the fields are at Masters Tour events and considering how many mages there were throughout the field, pre-nerf mages, it was a pretty impressive score. So might lend itself a little bit to just how comfortable he is, but I'd be curious to hear his thoughts if he wins after the series, considering Nalguidan does have a unique lineup. He has Warrior, but he also has Paladin, the Holy Wrath Paladin, and he did not bring Druid. So it's pretty unique when you consider all the other lineups in Americas. But let's get going. This matchup is all dictated on the early board. And right now, I see one drop for both players, but Eddie has the Northshire Cleric and even coin extra arms and Power Shield. Just judging by the opening hands right now, it looks like Eddie has a significant edge. He's got many options depending on what Nalguidan decides to do on his turn 2. He's got coin Injured Blade Master Circle of Healing. He's got coin extra arms. He's got Power Word Shield. He's got a lot of tools to help fight for that early board, and it all starts with Northshire Cleric.
Yeah, Northshire Cleric is big, but there's actually options here for Nalguidan to fight back against it. So if Eddie goes for the Northshire Cleric and leaves it at that and tries to hope for a coin Injured Blade Master, kind of you're talking about,
Is someone injured?
Topsy-Turvy can actually complicate things. So what Topsy-Turvy can do is swap the attack and the health of the Cleric. And Nalguidan has the opportunity to redevelop tempo through the Neverset Ritualist. And I think given that he has extra arms in hand, he'd rather go for it. Now you can see the impact of having extra arms on 3 and not 2. I mean, we already knew that. A 2 to 3 mana nerf is huge. It's 50% of your speed affected by that mana nerf.
Also, because same with Conjurer's Calling, since it is effectively a twin spell.
It very much is a twin spell.
Yes. It just has a different name. Extra arms, more arms. Because of that, it nerfed it by even more because it's 2 additional mana to complete the full combo.
Yeah, so to 4 it's 6, so it's still like a 50%.
It's 50%, but it has more impact because you. I think Conjurer's Calling was much more, just because the crazy boards that you can make as mage were insane with a 6 mana Conjurer's Calling as opposed to 8 mana Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
Because with 8 mana Conjurer's Calling, you can't even without elemental invocation play Mountain Giant double Conjurer's Calling.
That's right. Because TJ in Hearthstone, 1 mana equals 1 mana.
It does.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to worry about any kind of international currency manipulation there. The tavern, we always have our fixed prices.
We do. Unless...
1 dust is 1 dust.
Unless... I can't even think of a card that reduces cost in Standard right now.
Well, I mean...
What? Prismatic Lens.
Prismatic Lens, yeah, but you're still transferring the same amount of mana.
You are.
You're still spending the equivalent, assuming you're capable of, like, you switch Holy Wrath to Minion 25. You can't spend it, but it's still going to cost 25. This extra arms tempo, very hard to fight back from if you're Nalguidan. He is going to get bullied out of this game very soon. Eddie has the Neverset Ritualist and Power Shield and more arms. And now back to the international currency debate.
Speak to me.
Is someone injured?
Are there multiple currencies in Azeroth / World of Warcraft that you can like do some Forex trading? I don't know anything about WoW's like in-depth economy.
Not
balance.
Really.
It's just gold, right?
In Classic, gold means a lot more.
Because if you played like the old school Diablo games like Diablo 2, there was multiple currencies that would float around based off the item value that you could trade. One of them was like runes versus the in-game gold.
I mean, right now,
or gems that you could socket.
The biggest currency for a lot of players is Stranglethorn Veil pages.
Quest completion items?
Yeah.
because it's so
There's
crowded that they can't. There's not enough of them.
Well, there's almost an overabundance, but if you
Oh,
if you
okay.
go to like where the Hemet Nestingware camp where you turn in the pages to Hemet, there's at least on my server there was like 15 players there trading pages like I have a 10, I'm looking for a 16.
Oh, that's really funny.
I have a
Imagine
24, I'm
trying
looking
to
for a
corner,
25.
trying to corner the Stranglethorn pages
In the
quest.
in the
items.
end, those items can be bought and sold on the auction house, so it comes down to a gold is a gold.
But then you have to walk all the way to the auction
do.
house, TJ, and
You
then
do.
walk all the way back to Hemet.
And it's funny because they're not one for one because of I don't think there's any difference in drop rate, but just naturally, obviously because of variance, some pages become more rare than others.
Yeah, right.
And so some will
drop
sell for
them,
like
yeah.
30 silver and some sell for 5 silver, even though they're
That's
all
annoying.
the same and they all contribute to the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's a big currency.
Well, one of the most valuable currencies Nalguidan can get right now is card draw. It picks up the Pyromancer and the Morearms. Very important pickup here, because had Nalguidan not been able to deal with that Northshire Cleric, or not Northshire Cleric, well, that card and the Light Warden, things would have gotten really out of hand with this Never Set Ritualist from Eddie. And I do like the double development that he chose for the previous turn, given that Light Warden has a lot more upside with Ritualist in the hand versus playing the immediate tempo because you want to try and secure the board with your injured Blade Master. So even though that didn't pay off for Eddie, I think he's still in a good spot. Has High Priest Amet and has a bunch of buffs. So I think things will get a lot worse for Nalguidan. He does have the Bonsomni to draw a bunch of cards from this deck, but by then I feel like he's going to be too far behind.
Yeah, maybe if he could drop Bonsomni next turn, he could have a chance, because it's all about, if you're fighting for board like this, it's all about number of minions at a certain point. If you stick the last minion and can buff it to keep control of the board, and your opponent has a bunch of spells in hand and not enough minions to develop, then you can mount a comeback. But it's so hard, because all these spells that Priest does have, plus their hero power, means that they can protect a single minion on the board. Obviously, this injured Blade Master is, kind of proof of that, because it's been around since turn 3, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. And now Nalguidan, Northshire Cleric picked up, so he can go for some sort of heal. He has Wild Pyromancer on board, which means that if he does draw a Circle of Healing, he could go for a big play here, or at least a play that draws him a lot of cards. Ooh.
Job's done.
But again, he's not in too much of a risk of taking game-ending damage, and he will stick a minion on board after this turn is complete from Eddie. So a small semblance of a chance, but it would require Eddie to effectively draw dead for many turns in a row.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that would even matter too much if he just has so much board dominance through this kind of tempo generated. Healing for 5, getting +4 health. This is real bad here for Nalguidan. He's going to go for the Bonsomni, but when you give your opponent this much freedom onto the board, you're in for a bad time.
Yeah.
Silence not going to do anything right now. Divine Shield, Power Shield into Divine Spirit, and any kind of topsy-turvy inner fire will end this game. So Eddie, if he buffs the Injured Blade Master, he goes to 11. Divine Spirit inner fire would be 22. Plus the 8 other attack on the board, that would be a nice fat 30. Faceless Ranger being picked up, that is a tech that we have seen every now and then to give priests a little bit more tempo options, especially on curve if they're able to play Faceless Ranger as a 5x.
Yeah. He's actually cut a Wild Pyromancer to fit in this Faceless Ranger.
Yeah, I think that might be an acknowledgement of the mirror, perhaps.
Yes, at least I think so. While Pyromancer can be a significant draw engine a lot of times, it also helps a lot against aggressive decks to try and fight back on board. But since a lot of players have also been cutting an Acolyte of Pain to make room for Bonsomni plus additional 1-drops, there's one synergy that's kind of down already. And now we're entering unwinnable territory for Nalguidan.
Yeah, Nalguidan's last hope was actually for a mistake on Eddie's part, which is to not trade in. And if Nalguidan got Divine Spirit, he would have actually won, I think. A 7-7 would have been buffed to a 7-11, and then Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. But Eddie knows with so many cards being drawn based off of the Ensemble, knows that there's a high chance for his opponent to have the Beaming Sidekicks. Silence is a fun tool to use here, but nothing spectacular.
I mean, he can essentially deal 13 damage with the Silence on the Faceless Rager, but, I mean...
Still not enough.
He could try and hold on for a Wild Pyromancer. He still has one Wild Pyromancer left in his deck. And if he holds on to Wild Pyromancer, he actually has 3 spells in hand. He might be able to clean up the board a little bit. But unless Eddie just ignored everything on Nalguidan's side of the board, then it would be unlikely that he'd be able to clear out the board position. So it looks like he's just got to play around like a 1 Inner Fire.
Yeah, it's inherently pretty optimistic, I'd say.
Yeah. And that's considering, you draw the last Wild Pyromancer out of your last 11 cards, which is pretty low chance. And even then, it doesn't guarantee you. He has to hope just for colossal errors from the side of Eddie in order to win.
Yeah, it's not terribly urgent for Eddie to end the game immediately here. The more he trades, the more value he picks up. Doesn't even have to do anything with the Wild Pyromancer, but he can develop it for a little bit more damage. Yeah, this is looking real bad for Nalguidan. He can set up the Injured Tolvir to, again, absorb more damage and hope that he picks up a Pyromancer. But even then, it looks pretty hopeless from this position.
Yeah, without the Silence, it means that he just has the 2 Inner Fires in his deck to activate Wild Pyromancer. And if you're doing that to clear off not even your opponent's whole board, then you don't really have a way to win the game beyond that.
It is finished.
And that's going to do it. Nalguidan scoops it up. Eddie, game 1 victory in the pre-smear.
That's going to be a 1-0 lead here for Eddie, and a pretty important one. We've seen players who win the pre-smear end up having a significant advantage. I feel like I've yet to see a player who lost the pre-smear lose the series. But of course, it is the best of 3, so when you get the win, it's pretty impactful for your chance to win the series overall.
Yeah, it just means that Eddie now has a lot of options of what to queue. Because he has 2 decks still remaining, it's not like he just has to force through 1 deck like we've seen in the last game of Conquest, where even if you were 2-0 up, if your deck was targeted, your final deck was targeted, you could lose. So having that option means that he essentially has 2 chances of getting a good matchup.
All right, so we're going to take a brief intermission, our first day. When we come back, we're going to resume Eddie versus Nalguidan, a fight for first place in Division A.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right where I want them.
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The Scales of Justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry!
Not to worry, Finley. We'll just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am totally tired.
Gracious me!
What we actually need to do is press this. And there.
wish.
No, it's the scales of justice.
Ah, who wants to use it first?
Ooh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nalguidan. My username is an Illidan reference. I used to play Warcraft 3 a lot. Illidan is my favorite character. Back in the days, I really liked watching RDU stream as well. After I saw him for the first time on some DreamHack tournament, and then I got to beat him on some online tournament finals. That was my first tournament win, my first prize win. That was a very key moment for me in Hearthstone. I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. I like the Su playstyle. Some people think it's like broke back deck, but then you have a lot of things to master, and there is a lot of little things in that deck that, of course, you can draw 1, 2, 3, 4 and kill an opponent, but that's not gonna happen every game, and you need to know how to improve your odds. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. In my region, I think they do. I'm not sure about the other Grandmasters. This year, I really want to qualify for Global Finals. I quite didn't make it last year, so that's the main goal. I hear a lot of players say first season wasn't that important, but I think it really is. If you win the first season, you made it to Global Finals.
Eddie vs. Nalguidan continues as Eddie will shift to the Druid deck, and Nalguidan with his Priest is going to try and fight against the Druid. Should be a good matchup for the Priest on paper. We have seen Druids sneak out some wins. Druid seems to be pretty close back to its original status as being a tier 1 class, in that in the past, Druid has never really had too many hard counters. They always have pretty even matchups across the board, but based off how you tech it, can influence those polarization to be a little bit deeper. Back in the last Hero Standing days, TJ, people would always bring Druid, even if it never really was favored against anything except like Handlock, largely because it just never truly was eliminated, because you could always get the wild growth into the Chill and Yeti type starts to help build the board.
Yeah.
Or Pilot Shredder when it came out.
Yeah, Druid was a dominant class in DreamHacks for many years.
Oh, yeah.
From the early days of just when we called it Druid, to eventually ramp Druid into mid-range Druid, or combo Druid, some players called it, into the days of Malagos, and then beyond that into the days of Ultimate Infestation, then back to Malagos, and now Quest.
Yeah, sprinkle in some token druids in there.
The token druid days were weird, though. I particularly remember was it Amnesiac versus Saiyan? When they realized that in the token druid mirror, because you couldn't play into Spreading Plague, you didn't play your cards, and they sat there passing turns back and forth, overdrawing cards.
Yeah, that
waiting
was
for the other
Plague
person.
time. There's also a really good token druid that was like really aggressive back when Mark of the Lotus was around. And
okay, yeah.
They would like just go really fast with eggs and
Egg druid.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you throw in some other weird stuff like Cthulhu druid, which was my
Cthulhu
favorite
druid. Just the ultimate curbstone. Oh wow.
Okay, I was not expecting this play. I thought it was going to be untapped potential into a Innervate, and then just try to finish the quest as soon as possible. But here's a couple of things about the quest druid. If you are going to try and invest early mana into the quest, such as a quest coin, you have to try to ensure that your turn 5 play, you actually have things to do. So by doing this, Eddie is going to finish the quest on turn 5, going to turn 6. Then you'll have the Nourish, and now into Nubisat Defender or whatever else you draw. So this is really good planning from him, recognizing that what's important is stopping the Northshire Cleric early. And then Nalguidan responds by not playing the injured Tolvir and then coining out the Powered Shield to ensure that he has a little bit of that early board dominance, and with that Neferset Ritualist, can heal it back. Great draws here from Eddie.
Oh, wow. Okay, Crystal Merchant, help him cycle a little bit.
Yeah, but that gives Nalguidan the choice, right? Now he has extra arms to punch the 1/4, or he could have traded the 3/2 and developed more minions onto the board. Nalguidan's hand is very flexible. Even has pressure options, right? With the Power Shield, Divine Spirit, Interfire on 4.
Yeah.
So, Nalguidan's in a great spot, and even though I like this little choice here, this deviation from Eddie, still feels like Priest is in an excellent position here.
Yeah, it would punish all of the turn 1 plays, or most of the turn 1 plays for Nalguidan. Light Warded, Northshire Cleric. It wouldn't quite kill Northshire Cleric Powerwood Shield, but definitely I like the deviation. I think it's smart from Eddie. He knows that if he falls too far behind on board, even if he delays Nalguidan's opening by a turn or two, it does buy him more time. And it looks like Nalguidan, instead of clearing off this Crystal Merchant, is just going to go for kind of a very aggressive line. This line means that he really wants to Powered Shield, Divine Spirit, Interfire, and essentially put Eddie on a few turn clock.
I think that's important. You know, like, it doesn't matter if your opponent draws cards if they don't have enough mana to play everything or even have the quest completed. I like this pressure. I like the aggression, and I think it's going to be a very quick game number 2.
Yep. No options for Eddie because he has not completed the quest. War Druid Lodi is not going to be the Rush plus Poisonous.
I mean, part of me does wonder, like, how Druid can deal with this outside of, like, you know, big game hunter.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for game number 2. If Nalguidan, he should be able to do it because he has the Pyromancer and the extra arms.
extra arms.
That's going to do it, and we're going to go to game number 3. And I saw something that Casey was tweeting right before this where he says, it feels like with the state of how Priest is, it feels like people are playing best of 1s instead of best of 3s. And I can totally understand that sentiment because everyone is protecting Priest and everyone is trying to play Priest. And people are out here acting like they can't beat Priest. Do you think Priest is unbeatable, TJ?
I don't think it's unbeatable. No, I think it's a very strong deck, and I feel like even its bad matchups, you can still eke out wins like 40+% of the time, right? Its worst matchups across the board are 55-45, 60-40s at worst for the opponent. So, but in this kind of meta game where players are bringing safe picks and what people are going to bring is somewhat expected, like you can expect people to bring Warrior, Druid, Shaman, Priest, then you can definitely exploit that with the Priest deck, and we're seeing that over Europe and Americas at least. You're seeing a lot of Protect Priests, a lot of Game 1 Priest mirrors, a lot of Priests dominating against Shaman, against Druid, even against Warrior lately. We're seeing more Priest wins than we did even before the extra arms nerf because now the Bonsomni version gives you some potential in the late game to overcome all the removal. So now it's time to get into some real Hearthstone matchups. Druid versus Shaman. We've seen some very interesting ones over the past few days.
Job's done.
Yeah, I personally like this matchup a lot. I think it's very fun. I start to take the camp of the Shaman. I understand that Druid statistically is favored. It has a lot of really powerful board dominance tools. But I personally feel like Shaman has a lot more flexibility in how it can approach the matchup, while Druid's fairly straightforward, which is to finish the quest and then just get a board. Ooh, important pickup here for Nalguidan.
Very important. It will force out removal, and if it goes unchecked, say Eddie didn't have exactly Wrath in the situation, that Evil Totem can generate so much value.
Yep. So now, does Eddie wrath it, or does he just accept that totems
Wow. Okay.
will get played? TJ is accepting it. And here's another thing, too. He opened himself up to a Mogu Flesh Shaper and a Mutate. That's another thing that I would be slightly hesitant about, because knowing the way Shaman can get those early game fast victories does feel like you're setting yourself up for a dangerous situation, to say the least.
Yeah, no evolve or no mutate for Nalguidan, but even just this 3/3 on board that threatens a Witchy Lackey or a mutate can sometimes be a big deal. All right, so Eddie will complete the quest this turn.
Yeah, I mean, it is fortunate for Eddie that Nalguidan didn't have the evolve, because if he did, I would say that he's in huge trouble, because the average stat line of 8-mana minions tend to be very high. I've been seeing a lot of Princess Talanji off of my evolves, TJ.
Even in Grandmasters, we saw 2 Princess Talanjis at the very least yesterday. I think 2 in the same game, or in the same series at least.
Look at this. Eddie investing the Innervate to get the hero power in. This is a direct nod to the Lackey synergies that Nalguidan can have.
Yeah, but he does have another Lackey in hand guaranteed, as we saw last turn.
I mean, it also could be an acknowledgement of Barista Lynchin. 1 turn off, but there is still that mutate.
Yeah.
On the former champ. And also, if Nalguidan evolves into a big minion that's outside of the range of Oasis Surger, like that,
Job's done.
wow!
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
That's a new card from Saviors of Uldum called Wild Bloodstinger, which is Battle Cry, summon a minion from your opponent's hand and attack it. Usually the downside of the 6/9 is, right, you could draw into like a poisonous minion or high attack. This is so much stats. Eddie thinking about, should you value trade or should you take the direct 1-to-1 trade? I think that you need to stop taking damage. The 6/9 is going to start to hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah.
3 out of 6 on the quest, which means that Nalguidan could finish the quest this turn.
And likely will.
We'll see. Depends on what comes out the cave we're at. Double evolve. So you can pump up the Stinger to 8. You can also push up the Clockwork Goblin to 5, and I'd be okay with either of those. Maybe you can also go for the Ethereal Lackey in this position.
Yeah.
Lackey might be able to give you more board development tool options. I think one card that's actually surprisingly very good against Druid, and actually has always been good against Druid, now that I think about it, is Feral Spirit. Because just the way it's awkward for Druid to remove all those things.
Wow, the Reckless Dire Troll is...
That is sick.
Very
Eddie
sick.
is in big trub.
And that's a quest completion. And Nalguidan, I think, pretty wise here to hold on to Ethereal Lackey for after quest completion.
Sure. Because I think he recognizes the one thing that is difficult is mana expenditure in the next few turns.
Yeah.
Ethereal Lackey will help him a lot more than, say, a double Battle Cry off of a Cobalt Lackey to spend his mana.
Yep.
Until he drew that. Now he has the opportunity to Bog Slosher stuff. Well, first he could trade in the 6/9 and even mutate that, because the 6/3 is a lot less intimidating. Gonna look for the quest, or sorry, look for spells off his quest reward. Finds Wind Fury and Bloodlust, 2 very powerful cards. In fact, is there a way for him to capitalize a Wind Fury this turn? Doesn't look like it.
I mean, he could Wind Fury the Wild Bloodstinger, but...
Hex in this spot is also nuts, because now you can just get rid of the 6/6 without having to commit your 6/9.
Soul of the Murlocs also has merit because he has Bloodlust in hand.
Oh, you're right.
So if he Soul of the Murlocs, it protects his board and guarantees that he's going to get a lot of value out of Bloodlust, even if, say, Starfall were to come out from Eddie.
Or Swipe.
Or Swipe, yeah. So I think, in a nutshell, Hex might be better because of the big minions, but in combination with this Bloodlust, Soul of the Murloc seems like it makes a lot of sense.
Well, Nalguidan can trade and Bog Slosher down to 3/5. So if he trades like the Totem, he could go for the 4 damage. Wow, just all out on the evolves. He's evolving his Lackey to try to make it resilient against AoE. What do you think about this line, TJ? Nalguidan spreading his board wide so that he's resilient against the Starfalls. I think that makes sense too, because Eddie's on 7 mana. So if he had access to things like Swipe and Starfall, he only could play one of them.
Yeah, maybe like Wrath plus Starfall could clean things up, but also he kind of got the nod that Starfall wasn't there based off the last few turns from Eddie, I think. Maybe not turn 5, but at least the previous turn. And because his board was going to Starfall, he doesn't have to play Soul of the Murlocs this turn. Oh man, Wardrobe Lodi plus Swipe would be a little off, and he doesn't even have the mana to do it. He could Swipe Wrath, but without spell power, it's only going to make a small dent in this board.
Time waits for no one.
Is he dead if he doesn't do anything? I guess he doesn't know about the 2 spells, but Nalguidan didn't play either of the spells, and he had up to 4 mana, so it is a scary proposition. I think if I'm Eddie, I'm trading off some of these minions.
$14 plus 12. It's not quite there.
Yeah.
If he picks up a Rush Lackey
Or a Kobold Lackey?
Or a Kobold Lackey, he has 9, 14, 15 plus 15.
Yeah. Wait, doesn't have enough mana.
He doesn't have enough mana.
Yeah, he'd be off because he has to invest the hero power. Not that he gets it anyways.
Yeah.
But he can now, once again, evolve the Guardian of Kings into an even higher power level. It's like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. And trades first, then lackeys, then Soul of the Murlocs is probably the play here.
Little bit of an order issue.
A lot of missequencing.
I think there could have been better. Yeah, you could have gotten 2 more Soul of the Murloc lands. I believe, or 3.
3 more Soul of the Murloc lands because when you evolve, it gets rid of the Soul of the Murloc. So.
Wow. A lot left to be desired.
Yeah, but
That I think it actually makes a pretty significant difference. Because had there been 3 more Murlocs, would now Nalguidan have people?
oh wow, yeah, there'd be
6 Murlocs on the board, or sorry, there'd be 6 minions on the board. So that's 18 plus the 9 here.
that would have made the difference.
Yes. And now instead he has 9 plus 9, so 18.
Yikes.
Right, so the idea is that Nalguidan didn't have to play Soul of the Murloc till the last card.
The very last
He
card.
could have just like waited to after he was done with everything. So he could have evolved them. He could have buffed things with the Titanic Lackey. Could have traded, and then evolved, and then would have been able to get it. But by evolving, you removed the Death Rattle, so he lost 1 there. And by not having Titanic Lackey and the Witchy Lackey be included into the Soul of the Murloc, he lost 9 damage plus whatever he did in evolve. So he lost 12 damage. And that 12 damage, he's off by, well, apparently 11 right now. Obviously, it wouldn't have been that case. He would have had overkill. But Eddie picks up every single card that is just not useful here. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The important thing is Nalguidan had the macro strategies down, which was to improve the board pre-Starfall and Swipe, which was the crucial aspect of it.
But let's say Eddie picks up a playable card there.
Yeah.
Like
instead of
Hidden
drawing
Oasis,
the worst cards.
Starfall, Swipe, even Nourish into something, Ferocious Howl. Almost anything would have kept him alive, and can't afford to be making errors like that.
I agree. Look, there's no excuse for that. Nalguidan needs to tighten up that play. But the thing is, though, that is also what Firebat and some of the players were criticizing. Druid has so much of these like extra top-end cards.
Yeah.
Chef, Nomi, Elise the Enlightened, Zephyrus, and Floop. Those are all combo-oriented cards.
Yeah.
Where you need to have certain conditions met before you can activate them. do you actually need to have all of this top end? It does seem like overkill. And when you do hold Chef Nomi,
Every single one.
It's like all of those top end cards. That's a punish from the deck building side of just being a little bit too greedy. However, it's because they are accounting for things like the Druid matchup or against Warrior. So it's not that Eddie is being careless. It's just that is the downside of including all those deck cards.
Zephyrus, Floop, Elise, Chef Nomi, King Feroris.
It's a lot of gas.
All in the same deck. It's a
lot of gas, but you still need to have your car intact in order for you to go.
Yep.
Nalguidan's on the line to join us for a brief interview. Nalguidan, you there?
Hi.
All right. Tale of two seasons. Season 1, looking bad, struggling a lot. Season 2, looks like you're on number 1 uncontested division. How's it feel?
It feels pretty good. I've been putting a lot of effort to practice week to week, and I think it's paying off.
Got it. So, in that matchup specifically, I guess there's not too much about the Priest Mirror unless you want to make some comments about that. And then it seemed like you were able to just get ahead of that Druid with the early combo. Let's talk about Game 3, the Quest Shaman versus the Druid. What was your overall thoughts on that game and how it progressed out?
I don't know what to say, honestly. I think I had some early lead with the mutant, I don't know how it's in English, the 0 mana mutate that I thought on turn 5 was pretty key for the match because I got to make a very good board. And then there was one turn, like in the last ones, that I already had Bloodlust in hand, and I mean to evolve, like double evolve my 6-drop to an 8-drop, but then I was kind of nervous, so I missed it and evolved a 1-drop. But then after it happened, I was like, okay, but this is better because it's 3 HP, so it doesn't die to Starfall.
Okay, so we thought that was intentional. You're telling us it was a mistake, so at least you're brave enough to admit it.
Like, oh, he's making his board more resilient to Starfall.
That's exactly. I was like, 3 health minions are like really hard for Druid to do.
After I made it, I was like, wait, but this is better. So
your instinct didn't fail you there. Yeah, it was interesting because we thought, there's a lot of different ways that you could have picked apart the board, but overall, job well done. Now you do have one more match this weekend against Gallon. Do you feel like Eddie was the harder opponent than Gallon, or do you feel like their lineups are similar, so it doesn't really matter too much?
The lineups are kind of different because Gallon plays Sue.
Yep.
And also, like, Eddie broke the same warrior that Race did, I think. I was kind of scared of his warrior. I don't know what he didn't protect it because I think, like, I was kind of unfavored on the series if he protected the warrior. But then Gallon should have a standard warrior, so I don't know. I didn't pay attention. Like, I tried to go day by day. I prepared a lot for Eddie, and well, now I have the rest of the day to prepare for Gallon.
Got it. You've been talking about how hard you've been preparing and practicing. Can you share a little bit of insight? Is it just the amount of time? Is there a methodology, like you're practicing with more people? Is there anything else like that's changed from your normal day-to-day?
Well, obviously the difference, like last season we had only one deck, so the preparation, I mean, it was important, but you didn't, like, right now, for example, you have, let's say we have like 6 decks now. So each deck can face a possible 5 different or 6 different decks. So there is a lot of matchups to practice week by week. Like, for example, this week I brought OTK Paladin that I hadn't played that much since the expansion, so I needed to practice all the matchups for Paladin. I have a lot of friends that help me. There's this week there's a Brazilian player named Lucas that helped me a lot, and also Nayara helped me week by week as well. Well, PNC. I mean, I practice with a lot of people. There is a lot of people willing to help me test matchups.
Got it. Well, great. Looks like everything is going well for you so far. 4-1 to start off Season 2. And after tomorrow's match, you'll be pretty much at the halfway point of the season. And if you're able to get that win, you'll be firmly in first place. Congratulations, Nalguidan, and good luck tomorrow against Gallon.
Thank you.